live in a moment. Stop on the IBM 80. Guys get as much frequent flyer mileage as Fred Stolle, Rudy Berger from Munich, Germany. And there are not many of them around. Best of 3 sets. Quarterfinal men's singles here at the Volvo. Top seed left, John McEnroe.
13.
Born in Wiesbaden, Germany, as a matter of fact, now in Malibu, California, has a home and also in Cove Neck, New York. 32 years old, 5'11", 165.
Tough thing for McEnroe, I think, Cliff, is the heat. This is a good first serve, but he doesn't quite get the stick on it that he used to, and Ivanisevic just turns the shoulders, nails that one down the line. 102 miles an hour, that serve. But the heat out here today, we've said, is 91 degrees. It's got to be over 100 degrees down on court with 80% humidity. So that gets your attention in a hurry. The way Lendl plays against McEnroe in the first couple of service games is he drills the ball as hard as he can hit it. There it is, just on 90 degrees down there. That's down at court side. But things it's at the back of the court, so it's not really on the court surface. But Lendl drills balls at McEnroe to try and get his attention and make him miss a few volleys. And the exact same thing now that Ivanisevic has done in the last 3 points.
McEnroe said to me something interesting 2 days ago, Fred, when I was talking to him about the new style of players. He said, well, you know, I used to be able to play Borg. Borg stood 8 feet behind the baseline and he whacked them back. And he said, I had no trouble making those volleys. This is break point for Ivanisevic. But he said the modern players, they get it right down to my feet. Good court coverage and net coverage from McEnroe. Solid volley for the win. It's deuce.
Good anticipation here because it's another tough volley for him to make. He doesn't get much on it. Ivanisevic has a great opportunity here for an early break, but McEnroe anticipates that move and is right on the volley.
Advantage, McEnroe.
Curry, you've watched so darn much tennis in your time as well. Do you have any feel for the mood of the players as they walk out there standing about 6 feet away?
Well, Cliff, first of all, the thermometer's way off. It's 190 if it's 90. It's unbelievably hot. John has already asked for umbrellas, and they seem a little tentative right away. Goran, as you said, is trying to hit the return as hard as he can, though, right at McEnroe.
Game McEnroe.
McEnroe is in trouble, but he holds on and leads 1-0 to love in the first set. Best of 3, quarterfinal. We'll be back. In Switzerland, or Ball. Played in Stockholm. Same year, Ivanisevic won that one easily, 6-4, 6-4, to tie their head-to-head series, 1 match apiece.
Problem with Ivanisevic, Cliff, he's shown us throughout this year that he's been very streaky. In that last game, played 3 great shots, and then the last 2 points, he wrapped around the frame of the racket, mishit them. Now, he is asking Rudy Berger about the serve.
$15 love.
A slice one-hander from Ivanisevic, a slice one-hander from McEnroe as well. He's 19 years old, Ivanisevic, 6'4", as you can see, tall guy. Split Yugoslavia, which, according to Nicky Pilic, whose home was there as well, one of the great cities of Europe. If you like to spend a vacation, enjoy some sun and surfing and water sports.
Anything at all. Another big serve from Ivanisevic.
30 love.
40 love.
That's the way he served when we saw him at the French Open. 115 miles an hour in his opening service game. So you do a little bit better than that as the match warms up. Very difficult serve to pick. It's a quick motion right at the top of the swing.
Game Ivanisevic.
So Ivanisevic levels the match, 1 game off first set.
Ivanisevic there, the serve, the arch of the back, and gets him in quite close. Look at the technique on this volley. Perfect. He goes straight out through the path of the ball. Well done.
$15 love.
Second ace, 15 love.
McEnroe, they either love him or hate him. A lot of cheers and a few boos when he walked out, but this is his type of atmosphere.
A lot more cheers than booze,
Yeah,
Fred,
oh,
in
definitely.
this in any arena in the world now for him.
Particularly in Europe.
Oh.
But he loves New York. New York's his home, and he seems to get up and play better in that environment than anywhere else.
Much more dangerous with a two-handed
15
swing at the
all.
backhand side than he is with the one, in which case, when he gets to the one, he'll hit it with slice. He's Croatian, Goran Ivanisevic, and of course, with all the political problems in his home country now, he will probably not play Davis Cup against France in the next round. I'll tell you about that in a minute.
He's apparently not eligible to play Davis Cup.
Well, the Croatian Federation, there's a sectional federation, they've asked him not to under the present circumstances, and he's inclined not to want to play, and so is Pripik in the same position.
30-15.
Difficult decision to make, those political decisions, of course, in the case of athletes like this man. The only Serb in that upper echelons is Ivanisevic. So he may be playing alone against France. He says there's been no fighting very close to his home, but within 60 kilometers or so.
It's getting pretty close. Good second serve from McEnroe there, set that point up. He was able to half volley the return, didn't follow the serve to the net.
Whistles in the crowd. The thing is, when they know you've got two volatile players in there, the crowd somehow want to get into
They
it
want to
just
get them
stir
going.
things up.
Yeah. They know they're either going to see good tennis or they're going to see a good argument.
Game point.
Or in some cases, both.
40-13.
And Ivanisevic tees off on this one and makes it. I said in the opening service game from McEnroe, that's the tactics. He'll want to go for that return if he can get a look at it. And the problem is he doesn't get enough of them in at this stage there. When he gets in a streak, it's terrific. And it's the pace of shot again.
Kerry, what was that we heard there from McEnroe?
Well, John was concerned at the chair. Of course, he was upset at the call, but he was really upset at the chair for getting the score wrong. He yelled at the umpire, "You haven't gotten a score right all match." And it's the first goal of an umpire to get the score right. So now we're at deuce, and he's still unhappy.
seemed to be not high enough. It wasn't, but McEnroe hustled back and seemed like he almost lost his footing, Fred.
Now, McEnroe comes in on this one. He was patient in respect of the return, but here's the lob, and I think he gets himself caught up. He's off balance more than losing his footing. He was back there. I don't think he expected a lob, and even though it wasn't a good one, you could see the way he went back for that. He was off balance. So another opportunity for the young man from Yugoslavia.
What was that one, Kerry?
Well, somebody in the crowd called out something to him. I wasn't sure what McEnroe said back.
Another fine serve. That's been McEnroe's trademark. And a big crowd here today in support of John McEnroe. And in his heyday, McEnroe used to be able to do that all the time when in trouble, was throwing that big serve. Of late, he hasn't been able to do it. He did it then. You can hear McEnroe talking to himself their first serves. He knows how important that first serve is against these young players because they just tee off on the second one. They don't chip any.
Let's compare his volley, Fred, with some of the great volleys as you watch this one. I mean, how do you compare him with an Edberg?
This one gets up very high, and McEnroe has the luxury of a high volley. Look at McEnroe. The technique is beautiful. I don't think it's a power volley. It's a placement volley and a caressing volley. A lot of touch on the volley. I don't think he volleys as well as Edberg. You talked about it, Cliff, the fact that it was more touch and finesse. And Edberg doesn't have that real touch and finesse. He gets down there, and when he makes that volley, he hits it for a winner. This is an extraordinary point here because it was the lob that sets up this big forehand and barely gets over the net. McEnroe knows where this one's going, but just too tough for him. Hit it too hard, Ivanisevic.
50% for Ivanisevic, McEnroe at 56.
McEnroe now making his own call. Said correction, the ball was on the line.
Deuce.
Advantage, Ivanisevic.
So here's another break point. This is the second break point of the match because there was a third break point of the match, excuse me. Second of this game. He had a break point against him the first game as well.
Yeah, he's living on the edge at the moment, the early stages. He's been able to serve his way out. He's in trouble now with a second serve.
Quiet, please.
Registered 98 miles an hour, that one.
Second serve, he decided to come into the net. He did not do that when he was down break point the last time. He comes in, and the reply from Ivanisevic is too high. It's head high, that one. So an easy put away from McEnroe on that forehand volley. So Ivanisevic on the break points has not played very well. McEnroe has.
Advantage, Ivanisevic.
See, he runs that serve, Cliff, and now John McEnroe at his best gets about 105. That one's 102 miles now, about 105. And he doesn't like that IBM gun there. He, in earlier matches in the year, he asked for it to be turned off, and they did. But it's now a rule as far as the ATP Tour is concerned that is part and parcel of the surroundings, and it will stay on. 108 miles an hour there, so 0 for 3. He's had 4 breakpoint opportunities now and hasn't converted.
One game off, first set, deuce.
McEnroe doesn't like to look up there and see that speed gun when his serve is like 104 and somebody else is 120.
Advantage,
That's
Ivanisevic.
his second double fault and another break point. This will be the 5th break point of the match 4th of this game for Ivanisevic. It was a time, Fred, as you remember, when they had the 30-second clock on us during the days of WCT. If talking 10, 15 years ago, they took that off pretty quickly. And it's never made a reappearance.
And now they don't have 30 seconds, of course. They're only allowed 25 seconds now. McEnroe again frustrated with his service, first serve in this game.
Oh, trying to play that. I think he's a little tight. Because that shot, under normal circumstances, he would have made easily, but he's just trying to get that back into play. It's understandable because, as you said in the opening, Fred, Ivanisevic playing against somebody of the reputation that McEnroe's reputation, it tightens you up.
He's played doubles with him, and they're pretty good friends. Played well at Wimbledon. Teamed up there, and they took out Leach and Pugh, the Davis Cup team for the US. Beat them in the first round.
Advantage, McEnroe.
So that one, Ivanisevic miscued. If he doesn't get that timing right, he wraps a lot of them around the frame. Good game for McEnroe to get out of this one, actually, as far as his confidence is concerned. He's been down 4 break points.
Ivanisevic had all kinds of chances, did not convert the break serve, so we're on serve. McEnroe leading 2-1, first set. September 20th. Do you plan that far ahead? If not, maybe you should, because that's the Davis Cup date for this year. 4 o'clock in the afternoon on the Friday afternoon of 20th of September, and of course continuing through the weekend. Andre Agassi, Jim Courier, Becker, Steve at Kansas City, Missouri, USA versus Germany in the Davis Cup semifinal.
I've planned that far ahead. I hope you have, because we're going to be there to call it.
There it is. That's in the sun right there. So take a look and see just where that little thermometer is.
That's up to around 810. With 80% humidity, that is draining.
15 love.
Seven and 5 for McEnroe, 91 hard court record. Ivanisevic 4-2.
30 love.
Needless to say, Ivanisevic has not played much hard court tennis this year.
It's interesting, because I alluded to it earlier, to see if McEnroe can pick this young fellow's serve, whether he can anticipate where it's going. And as yet, McEnroe hasn't won a point on Ivanisevic's serve. But it's very early into the match. McEnroe's got a lot of war paint on there. It's a hot day.
40 love.
Ivanisevic taking some 2 or 3 weeks off, as he told, or his coach Bob Brett told Curry Kirkpatrick before we started. So the only outdoor hard court events he's played is the Australian earlier this year, and he lost that to Goran Pripic, his countryman, and then at Indian Wells.
40-15.
And there he lost to Fabrice Santoro, who, by the way, yesterday in Indianapolis beat Andre Agassi.
He's a tough player, Fabrice Santoro. 2 hands off both sides. Controls the ball well.
Game point, Ivanisevic.
He's come through well, because he was the world junior champion last year, Fabrice Santoro. I presented him with that trophy at the ATP banquet, so he's only a youngster. Aren't they all? Except for this man here, the veteran.
2-game call.
Ivanisevic tees off from behind the baseline now. It's very tough to hit winners from behind that baseline, but with these rackets they can do it today, and that was good enough for him to come in and get a look at a volley. McEnroe had to stretch just to barely get the ball back into play.
Lot 15.
Goran Ivanisevic is coach Bob Brett. If you recognize his face, it might be because of what he's done these last few months with Ivanisevic. More likely the fact that he was Boris Becker's coach for so long.
He's got that Australian hat on. He is Australian, Bob Brett.
What do you call that?
Melbourne, Australia. Well, it's an Aussie hat. You don't see too many of them over here. They wear a floppy hat, yeah, but they normally wear over here. They wear the baseball caps. Well, again, inconsistency there for Goran Ivanisevic. He played a great return and sets him up with an easy shot. And on this occasion, he takes his eye off the ball. McEnroe there struggles to get to it, barely gets it over the net. Now you find that Ivanisevic continues the run. He takes his eye off the ball. He's looking at McEnroe to see what he's going to do, and he misses an easy one.
He's been in trouble every time on his serve, hasn't he?
That's just because there's just, you know, that serve was 70 miles an hour. The second serves that we've been looking at all week here from these fellas have been 85, 90 miles an hour. 80 miles an hour anyway.
Let's see what this one will be. Second. Double
15-40.
82 miles an hour, double fault 15-40. 2 more break points for Ivanisevic.
That's good that we had that on there, because the one before was 70 miles an hour, not enough on it, so he goes for that little bit extra, knows that he's not hitting it hard enough, goes for that little bit extra, and he presses and comes up with a double fault.
Curry, John McEnroe has been so volatile a personality, sometimes going overboard behavior-wise. Is that ultimately gets so much more publicity for the sport? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, I think it's both good and bad. You know, you mentioned Bob Brett coaching Ivan Goranisevic, and the two of them playing doubles at Wimbledon. Brett set that up, and he likes to get his man with the older players, the great players. He also had him hit with Bjorn Borg at Monte Carlo this year.
There's the breaker serve. We'll talk more about that when we come back. For the moment, though, it is Ivanisevic who has the lead with a break. 3-2 first set. Curry.
More for his theatrics and his bad boyism than for his great tennis, and I think he even realizes that in the past few years. He's spoken to that subject in press conferences. As I was saying, though, Bob Brett, who got Ivan with Goranisevic with McEnroe at Wimbledon this year, points out that McEnroe loves to teach young players, especially those who want to be taught, and he said someday he thinks McEnroe will be a great Davis Cup captain.
15 love.
Continue that thought, Curry, because he said he wants to be U.S. Davis Cup captain, doesn't he?
Well, and with the controversy with McEnroe and the Davis Cup over the years, that would be a interesting development, wouldn't it?
77 career singles title. And he has been just as successful on court in doubles. I mean, he was absolutely unbelievable at one time.
The 15-all.
7 Grand Slam singles titles. 3 times at Wimbledon. 4 times at the US Open. Never won Australia or the French.
Got close to the French, led 4-1 the 5th against Lendl one year until he took it on with the courtside microphone and damaged that and finished up.
13-15.
Now that's a great serve, 110 miles an hour on that one, and you had no idea how to pick that serve up. It's a very quick motion. It's the pronation of the wrist right at the top of the swing that fools everybody.
123 on that one. That's not far from as good a serve, faster serve on this.
30.
Double fault though. 30 all.
Big game for Ivanisevic here. He's had all the opportunities in the world on McEnroe's serve and finally has broken. And up until this stage in his serve, he'd only dropped 1 point. That was a double fault. So he's got to try and consolidate the situation here. Two double faults, so you know that he's a little uptight.
His son is behind him too, so that's not a problem for him.
Oh, they've just been two bad deliveries. They haven't even made the net. Halfway up the net, both those second serves.
Kind of a lazy motion, but it gets the job done. McEnroe breaks back. We're even 3 games off for a set. Aided, of course, by 2 double faults from Ivanisevic. But what the heck? You take him any way you get him.
Yeah, it was a second serve again, so Ivanisevic not going to serve and volley. With McEnroe's experience, he holds this forehand the last minute. Ivanisevic was going the other way, so it meant he had to run an extra couple of yards to try and get back, and he couldn't, so it's all even again.
Love 15.
Cliff and Fred, we'd be talking to Bob Brett at courtside, but he has a superstition about talking to any reporters during a match. He told me in Kitzbühel, Austria, a few years ago, he's coaching Boris Becker, and a TV guy came in, wanted to talk. He said no. The guy persisted and came on during the match right up to him, and Bob Brett said no again with some expletives thrown in live on camera. So I don't think I ought to go over there right now.
Well, most of the coaches won't talk to you when they're watching their players out there. Tony Roach will not do it. Tony Pickard will not do it.
15 all.
Well, and I pointed out to Bob that Boris Becker happened to lose that match, however, and maybe it would change his luck, but that didn't do any good either. So.
50% McEnroe first serve percentage, about normal for him.
Ivanisevic went way down that last service game, didn't he? He was okay early, but 2 double faults. That game brings your percentages down in a hurry.
15, 13.
McEnroe not comfortable at all here. He's looking for a drive, and this is the first little chip. You could see how he had to change direction. The ball gets behind him. Then the wrist is way back behind him. He tries just to hook it in down the line and couldn't. And that was the first angle return that we've seen from Ivanisevic.
15-30.
Okay,
that's
got to get a bracket abuse here. He throws the racket. He can't get away with it. He's not going to get one now. Rudy Berger's not going to. Unless he breaks the racket, then it becomes an automatic.
This is the 8th break point of this first set, and he's 0 for, well, actually 1 anyway for 7 so far, Ivanisevic.
Of course, he's 0 for 3 in blasted rackets so far. That was the first time he'd thrown it down, though. He smashed it a couple times.
serve.
30-40.
Comes right back at you, McEnroe, as he so often has done throughout his career, and that one with pinpoint accuracy still keeps him in this game. It's still a break point, though.
McEnroe's in the top 10 players in the world in winning points when he gets his first serve. He let that one go, it dropped in, so there's another break. McEnroe does not like the call, but the call has been made by Rudy Berger in the chair, and the game is over. Ivanisevic has another break. It's 4 games to 3. Ivanisevic, he'll serve when we come back. I guess
And they're playing that match on clay, indoors.
Of course, Cliff and Fred, if we have in that Davis Cup match the holders of the 3 Grand Slam championships. Has that ever happened before? Not lately.
well, if we could put Sampras on the team, Curry, we'd have all 4. Because, or indeed, if Andre Agassi wins the Open.
There you go.
Well, it's very difficult for McEnroe to break serve again here. Did a good job, and he was aided by 2 double faults from Ivanisevic in his last service game when Ivanisevic tried to stay in front.
40-50.
You can't expect, if you do it once, a set, hopefully you win the set, but to do it twice in a row with an explosive serve like this kid's got, too tough. 119 miles an hour down the middle, that one. Another, oh boy. McEnroe never saw that until it was past him. Just watch McEnroe on this serve. He does not pick it. He has no idea where it's going there. Here comes the serve. McEnroe stretches. Look at the racket. See how far that racket is behind it? He just stumbles over to that side. Just explosive power. 118 miles an hour.
5-3, first set to Ivanisevic.
Yeah, McEnroe's faced a break point on every service game, so he just has not been comfortable on serve at all.
15.
Well, now, there's a lot of folks in the crowd say, well, even the pros can do it, and Ivanisevic having a quiet smile with that one. He gets trapped here, just tries to pop it back like a club player, get it back into play. It went long. Crowd enjoyed it.
30.
Now, what was that, Fred? He's trying to straighten the strings on his racket with his shoe. That's the first. I've never seen that before. I thought for a minute he had enough of that racket, was about to
Get rid of it?
Yeah. 30 love. So McEnroe holds on, but he's in trouble. It's Ivanisevic to serve, and we come back. And if he wins his serve, he'll win the set. This to the is having maybe some physical problems, Curry.
Cliff, I think McEnroe's bothered there with his calf muscles, but he stretched his whole legs. He grabbed the chair and sort of stretched all out during that changeover. Again, it's very hot, and he kept glancing over at Ivanisevic as if to say, are you this hot? And Goran looks pretty cool, actually.
Lot 15.
Now this is a chance for McEnroe again here. As I said last game, he didn't have much of a shot at it, but this young fella now is serving for the first set against his idol.
Oh, you know, that's what happens when you got that kind of stretch, that reach. Put his racket out.
Still have to be able to play the shot, though, and it was a great effort from McEnroe here as he hits this half volley. Look at perfect precision. He was down, way down, knees bent on this one. Watch the stretch on this one from Ivanisevic. Now, still, he has to maintain good balance on that one.
First serve fault at 15 all, serving for the set. Expensive error. By the way, going on here at Yale University, talking about Yale, is the first World Congress of Sports Medicine and Science in tennis. It's sponsored by the Department of Orthopedics and Rehabilitation at Yale University. Doctors from all over the country here. You know, they say that there are, you know, they've discussed to death sports injuries related to other sports, not so much in tennis. That's definitely changed that.
14-15.
Well, I know you're pretty much up on that because that doctor had a look at your knee. You've ruined your knee. Can't get out and play with the legends tonight. So
It's ruining my golf game.
Yeah. But it is amazing how far medicine has come with sports injuries, not only in tennis but in all other professional activities, all other professional sports. And that's the set point, and the first set goes to Ivanisevic.
6 games to 4. Quarterfinal, men's singles, and John McEnroe, as you can see there over on the side, looks like he is again stretching out his calf muscles. But it's not any physical factor, Curry, I don't think. It's not the heat. It's just the fact that he was outplayed in that first set, don't you think?
Yeah, that last serve almost knocked the racket out of his hand. He had it there. It was ready for the return. He just couldn't handle it. Plus the fact he's not serving well in first serves. He's very frustrated with his first serve.
Oh, you cannot play that kind of game with McEnroe. He's the best at that. The power game will get to him, but the finesse, you can forget it.
Serve this one from McEnroe, and he gets the reply that he wants, but in his eagerness to close in, look how quickly he gets in there, but he overruns the ball. You could see the ball was way behind him when he tried to do it, and all he could do was snap the wrist, and he brought it right down into the bottom of the net.
$15-30.
15-30 in this game, first game of the second set, at the expense of kicking a dead horse. We've been talking about the business of how important the serve has become in tennis, maybe too important. I was checking some stats this morning. Serve percentage, games won. Tops 5 in the world, Stick, Forget, Lendl, Edberg, Sampras, Deng, Jim Courier. Return games won percentage, who are they? Perez Roldan, Santoro, Gustafsson, Bruguera, Chesnikov, Johnson. Not all the top players in the world.
No, they're all clay courters. Those stats show up what's happened on clay courts, not what has happened on this surface.
But it does show that it is the guys who serve here that have the overwhelming, who serve well, have the overwhelming advantage even over the guys who return.
McEnroe in trouble, another double fault, another break point, Ivanisevic, 2 of them.
Gets to it. It's wide.
30-40.
Just a very, very tough return of serve and a break of serve for Ivanisevic. McEnroe was talking about that. He said, they can pummel my serve these days. 6-4, 1 love.
Even though he was way down on service percentages there, 44, that's not good. McEnroe up to 55%. Came up with 19 winners. A lot of those on the return of serve. Unforced errors, rather even. 43 minutes, but McEnroe was in trouble on every service game. And he's down a break in the second now.
Seats behind the court, please.
So 1 set and 1 love to Ivanisevic with the break. Miss-hit and a little gesture from Ivanisevic to say sorry, but he'll take it.
McEnroe has taken the bandana off to see if it changes his luck on his serve. It hasn't changed his luck on this one, though. Lets it go and it drops in.
Ivanisevic is in the top 3 after Michael Stick and Guy Forget. Make that Guy Forget and Ivan Lendl.
First serve was a foot fault, first one of the match.
30 love.
That's on first serve points 1. So in the serving department, he's right up there, except for this, Fred, that when he misses his first serve, he's only at 50-50 on second serve, which is not at the top echelons of the sport.
$40 love.
See how many times McEnroe's been in. He's under 50%, and he's been to the net, which is very unusual for McEnroe. Ivanisevic is up there at 80%, but he hasn't been in.
Game point, still. So Ivanisevic has a 2-game-to-love lead, and he won the first set. One of the interesting stories about Ivanisevic this year, remember he got to the semi-finals of Wimbledon last year. Well, this year, in an effort to get some grass court practice, he didn't enter the tournament in Manchester in time, so he took a wild card entry into the qualifying tournament at Manchester. He won that, of course. That got him into the tournament, and then he won the tournament over Sampras in the final.
McEnroe played in that tournament too, but he lost first round to Cristiano Karate.
Didn't help Ivanisevic when he got to Wimbledon, so did it, because he lost to Nick Brown in the second round.
One of the upsets of Wimbledon. McEnroe there. The first volley. Look at this, doesn't bend the knees at all. You never see McEnroe do that. Normally his head is down a little bit further, bends the knees, so he gets down, have a look at that volley. The idea when that ball comes over the net is have your head down as low as that ball comes over the net.
And your racket head up.
Yep.
He's the one of the few players who can get away with not putting it up.
15 all.
Very critical point of the match for both players. McEnroe endeavouring to get into it. This young fellow trying to keep his concentration. That has been a problem for him. That last one he hit nearly went under the net, right at the bottom of the net. See him practicing the stroke. Does have lapses of concentration though.
30-15.
5 aces for McEnroe. Is there a solution for McEnroe, Fred, or is he really just entirely at Ivanisevic's mercy here?
Well, McEnroe obviously is a great player. He can come back and win this match if, but something's going to happen to Ivanisevic. If Ivanisevic serves the way he's been serving, McEnroe can't get out of this hole. He's got to find a first serve. He's been at loss, even though his service percentages are better than Ivanisevic. He's got to do a little bit better, win a few more points.
40-15.
Game point for McEnroe. Five. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's because he's pressing. He knows that he's got to go for a bigger second serve. Of course, Ivanisevic is still teeing off, even though he's missing them. That's been the secret to this match so far, is the fact that Ivanisevic has gone on the returns and made those big shots when he's had a break point. He's had a bundle of break points, hasn't he?
All right, so McEnroe holds on 2-1. Ivanisevic, 1 break, second set. He won the first. Don McEnroe of the USA, Goran Ivanisevic of Yugoslavia. Ivan Lendl losing in a big surprise to Mark Rosset yesterday. We covered that for you. And Richard Krajcik later in the day beating Stefan Edberg. So Lendl has not had much success here. He lost to Malavia Washington here last year. Another ace.
Cliff, you know, last night of course, today we mentioned McEnroe's proximity to New York City, a couple hours down the road here last night. McEnroe said that if there was one place he'd rather be, it was in Central Park last night to hear his buddy Paul Simon entertain 750,000. And of course, he said though that since he was still in the tournament, he was glad to be here. Of course, right now he's looking for a bridge over troubled waters. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
40 love.
And he's also put another headband on, another bandana, and wrapped it around there because of the heat, and I'm sure the perspiration running down into his eyes.
Game point.
Game Ivanisevic.
That is 6 aces for Ivanisevic.
This is a breaking ball out wide. McEnroe can see him step down looking for the backhand. Ivanisevic goes out wide to the forehand. It was only 104 miles an hour, that one, but pinpoint accuracy. He was about 10 feet up that singles line, and that's a long stretch.
Peter Korda is a guy here, Fred, who plays a little bit like Ivanisevic, doesn't he? He's kind of, you never know exactly what's going to come from his game. He beat Richie Renneberg yesterday. Renneberg seeded 6th. And Korda not as high, but Korda, I don't know, you just never know with him. He's a strong, strong player. but we'll find at the Canadian.
15 love.
John McEnroe, 54% of first serves in play. When he's got them in, he's only won 59%. Now, that tells a big story there, because a lot of the younger players, when they get that first serve in, have been winning 80 to 90% of those points. Talking about Quarter, he won this morning too, Cliff. He beat Omar Camporese, so he's had a very good tournament.
He's in the semis. Shot from McEnroe in the air. Well, this, believe me, is one of the toughest shots in the sport to hit. It makes it look easy.
It's a big point for McEnroe. Of course, he was down love 30 on this point. If he loses this serve, it's history, and he has to come up with an angle volley like that, a high backhand, and creates an incredible angle for the winner. Difficult shot. Great shot. Said he was down love 30. He wasn't, of course. He leads 30 love now. He's down a service break in this set.
McEnroe indicating that he could have shortened Ivanisevic's career on that one if he wanted to.
Service comparisons there. We just showed you McEnroe at about 54%, and he won 56% when he got those in. But Ivanisevic's first serve percentage is way down. But when he gets it in, he wins 92% of those points. And then 63% on second serves. McEnroe's down in that 43% area.
6th ace for McEnroe, but he's behind. 1 set and 3-2. Ivanisevic will serve and we come back.
So you just got a cash advance, did you? Too bad you used an ordinary credit card, because you could be carrying some very heavy interest charges. Why not carry the Discover card? Just pay your full monthly balance and a small transaction fee, and we'll forget the interest, which means our money comes with no strings attached. It pays to Discover.
Dean Witter believed in priorities.
Know why your clients are saving. Know why they're investing.
Okay, come on, folks.
At some point, it's college. Later on, retirement. But Dean Witter knows that often the highest priorities are all the things that happen in between.
Is there anything else you want?
Just the first dance.
There are many ways to measure success.
We measure success one investor at a time.
Keith Clearwater is leading this thing, the international golf, you know, where you've got to go for birdies and eagles and double eagles in order to score. So you might as well go for broke, because that's what wins this, and that's what makes it a fun event to watch. You know, it's kind of growing slowly, this international, but I think it's going to end up being one of the big ones on the tour. Live coverage this afternoon on ESPN. That's how hot it is here. So these players know all about it. Of course, they're going to need to. U.S. Open's a couple of weekends away.
15 love.
15 love.
And of course, with the humidity, Ivanisevic there, 8 points on serve. He's lost. That's been the case all week with the big servers. Humidity out here today because of the rain that we've had around the area the last couple of days. Very, very sticky. Ivanisevic has found the rhythm on the serve.
He found it after about 2 games.
7 service aces, and that's the secret to his success.
Lost his serve once in the match.
14
He's
love.
broken McEnroe 3 times, twice in the first set, once here. 40 love. He has a very nice motion again, Fred, doesn't he? It seems to be typical of these modern-day servers that they don't throw the ball up any higher than where they hit it, so that it's very uncomplicated serve.
Good
Swing.
timing, though, because he's not a strong kid. 6'5" of steel and whipcord, as they say. Not much meat on him.
Game to Ivanisevic. 4-2 first set.
Ivanisevic's second serve, and he stays back on that one. And then he plays a good slice backhand in behind McEnroe. McEnroe off balance a little bit, has to throw up the lob. Watch the shoulder turn on this, and the power. Bounces that one from even that spot there. He bounced that one into the stands.
Well, Fred, there wasn't much meat on you when they took that picture of you in that Net Pro
no.
A tennis card, you know. So
the Net Pro Legends cards, yeah, that's done a great job. They have it for the tour players as well, for about 50 of the top players, including Becker and Edberg. This man, John McEnroe, Ivanisevic, all in color. The Legends, of course, are in black and white. Proceeds go to the IBM ATP Tour charities, so the players don't get anything out of it. It's terrific.
Long.
Love 15.
Love 15, and McEnroe struggling now. Down 6-4 first set, 2-4 second set. He has got to hold on here.
And guys, he just said to himself, why am I making such a big noise and on such small shots? So he's very frustrated. I think we should point out what a great talent Ivanisevic really is. Of course, he beat Boris Becker in the French last year, almost beat him at Wimbledon, and it's all in his head. It's the only thing that's held him back.
Second serve again. The youngsters just step in and tee off on it. There's no playing percentages there. Here are the unforced errors, though. McEnroe, 17 winners and 18 errors. Look at Ivanisevic in the winners. He's hit twice as many winners as unforced errors. And when you can do that, that's good tennis.
Sure is. Sure is. Been checking the stats, and in general here we've seen a number of unforced errors over winners in matches. Little help from the net. That's not going to help McEnroe any. It helps Ivanisevic a lot. Love 40. 3 break points for a second break, second set.
As much as I love John McEnroe, he's been a great player for a long, long while. But these youngsters, the top players now, McEnroe just doesn't have the pace. He may prove me wrong. I hope he does, because he has been tremendous for the sport. But now it's just the power game, and the fact that fellas like he and Lendl now, the youngsters don't give them the respect that they think they need.
He dances a little jig, Ivanisevic, realizing that now almost nothing could stop him from getting into the semi-final of this year's Volvo International. When we come back, he'll serve for the match.
The top movies, the top stars, they're yours when you order Showtime at HBO from Viacom Cable. Your ticket to movies you want to see, uncut and commercial-free. Add Showtime at HBO to your service at the special introductory offer of $12.95 a month for 3 months. Plus, get a remote control and access to pay-per-view movies and events. To get free home installation, call 1-800-CABLE-ME. Offer expires August 31st.
It's played in a park, on the grass, without a clock, for a dream, for real. It's AAA Northwest Baseball, featuring the Tacoma Tigers. Nothing can match hometown teams playing on the real field of dreams. This summer, AAA Baseball scores coming home on Prime Sports Northwest. Sunday, August 18th at 6 o'clock Pacific. The Trappers try to snare the Tigers.
Cliff Drysdale with Fred Stolle and Terry Kirkpatrick of Sports Illustrated magazine. McEnroe and Ivanisevic are battling it out in the quarterfinal here. First set to Ivanisevic, 6-4. He leads 5-2 now in the second set and is very much in control of this match. The winner will take on the winner of the Richard Krajcek-Derek Rostanyo match.
15 love.
Rostanyo, the defending champion, he had a smile on his face this morning. Also, he's playing some good tennis when he learnt that Richard Krajcek had beaten Stefan Edberg.
Yeah. It's good news, isn't it, when you wake up in the morning and see the #1 seed you're expecting to play and got beat.
Didn't do enough with it. McEnroe's experience told there. Good serve. He doesn't get enough angle on the volley. And what's this one? McEnroe's out at this point totally. Look where he played that volley. Anywhere with an acute angle won the point. He just tried to get it back into play. And McEnroe's still in it.
Another race from Ivanisevic, 30-15. Curry, you were talking about Ivanisevic. What's it going to take to get him the extra step?
Well, he had 2 terrific results in majors last year, but however, at the U.S. Open, he basically gave up in the 5th set to Darren Cahill, lost 6-love. In the French this year, he gave up to Paul Harhus. And, of course, this is Bob Brett's charge, to bring him to the next level, to get him to stick to it, to get his concentration down. I wondered what you guys would have to say about that. What does a coach do to a guy to get him to do that?
Match point. We'll address it in a moment. Let's watch, see whether he can finish it out. He can. That's an ace on the second serve. An acknowledgement to Bob Brett, who is watching him, that was a pretty well played match, wasn't it, coach? And Ivanisevic is through to the next round. Well played match by any definition, Fred.
Well, I think we said at the start, Cliff, if Ivanisevic played up to his capabilities, he had to win this match. He, as Curry said, he's had some good performances in Grand Slams, but also in other tournaments as well. He's only 19 years of age, and he had a very volatile junior career. He is a lot better at the moment as far as his temperament is concerned than he was as a youngster, and he's won, in that particular deal, won 12 of the last 13 points. So a big victory for him today. John McEnroe, of course, I think McEnroe coming into this match expected to do a lot better, but I say it again, he played well at the US Open last year, but he's going to have a good draw again to do it again this year.
Fred would say an easy day at the office for Goran Ivanisevic of Yugoslavia. Best player from Yugoslavia, part of their Davis Cup team, although he may not play Davis Cup when they play against France later this year because of the political problems at home. In 2 sets over McEnroe.